All right, guys, I am back with my official Week 1 hot takes after doing my instant reaction last night. I think I've got 16 total takes. Huge Week 1. We've still got a few more games, but the majority have finished. So let's get right into this. Ohio State, Notre Dame was Clemson UGA 2.0 in my opinion. So guys, if you don't know what I'm saying, Clemson, Georgia played a game Week 1 last year, defensive battle. This Ohio State Notre Dame game, in my opinion, was very similar early in the season, Week 1. If you actually look back on the history of big-time Week 1 matchups, they normally always have the defense being ahead of the offense. That's exactly what happened. JSN gets injured. Ohio State is completely out of it. But I will say, this is a game Ohio State loses last year, very similar to Oregon. This year with Jim Knowles, the defense stepped up. They stopped Notre Dame, and they were able to ground out a win. CJ Stroud did not play great. He lost JSN, 21-10 win. I'm not overreacting to it. I know people want to put Georgia in front of Ohio State. They're saying both Ohio State and Notre Dame are overrated, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and overreact. It's whatever. Week 1 is weird. We've had a history in college football of Week 1 games being very boring. And you just take a look at last year, Georgia scoring 10 points in their Week 1 game against Clemson. So very similar in my opinion. And hopefully Ohio State will be able to get JSN back here relatively soon, although I'm guessing he won't be playing against Arkansas State. Number 2, Notre Dame needs to be worried. And the reason I say that is you look at Notre Dame's schedule, they're already 0-1. They face North Carolina, I believe, on the road. And we know North Carolina, very good offense now. They scored 63 points without Josh Downs. Drake May playing really well. You've got BYU. I think that's a neutral site game. BYU, one of the most impressive performances yesterday, destroying South Florida on the road. Clemson and USC, we all know those are two big matchups. So my takeaway with Notre Dame, it's just very tough to judge. Was it Notre Dame's defense causing havoc for Ohio State, or was it Ohio State's offense being out of sync with CJ Stroud not having JSN, locking onto Emeka Egbuka? It was like he didn't want to target anyone else. I really don't know. I think Notre Dame has a pretty good defense. The reason I'm worried for Notre Dame, the BYU game is going to be very tough. The UNC game is going to be tougher than we expected. And you still have those other two huge matchups, home against Clemson, at USC to end the season. Very tough schedule for Notre Dame. This could be, I'm not going to say they're going to lose 4 games, but I think certainly 3 losses. Something maybe like 9-3 this year for Notre Dame. And people are saying they're overrated. We will. I don't know yet. I really don't know, because Week 1, the defense phenomenal against Ohio State's offense, but Ohio State also looked out of sync. They looked a little rusty. We will see. Number 3, Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart colluded, rigged game. Okay, guys, so obviously I'm kidding here, but I don't know if anyone else saw the quotes at the end of this game. Apparently, Kirby Smart said that he was going to help Dan Lanning, get Oregon better after the game. Just a weird quote. If I'm an Oregon fan, I feel like a used girl. You're playing a neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia. You have your current head coach saying he wants to learn about, improving his team from the team you're facing. The situation, it's like they were already accepting the loss. But honestly, Georgia just annihilated Oregon. There's really, if you're Oregon, it went as bad as possible. And Georgia, the defense just looks unbelievable. We will see. I know a lot of people want Georgia to be in front of Ohio State now. Personally, I don't. It's early season, whatever. I mean, if you want to put them in front, it is what it is. Number 4, Michigan is starting J.J. McCarthy. The battle is over. Guys, this is such an easy decision. And I actually said this yesterday, and it made so much sense when I said it out loud. Jim Harbaugh just wanted to start Cade McNamara game one as a courtesy for helping Michigan get over the hump, finally beat Ohio State, finally win a Big Ten championship game. This is J.J. McCarthy's job, no doubt. He's starting week 2 against Hawaii. He was way more dynamic in week 1. He's a good enough thrower, and he offers such a different dynamic to that Michigan offense. And guys, you want to talk about a team, Michigan, and their non-conference. I mean, we all know it's bad, but like Colorado State is probably going to win 2 games this year. Like Colorado State is horrible. Hawaii is probably the worst FBS team in college football. And then UConn's a top 5 worst FBS team in college. So it is a historically bad non-conference schedule for a team that's not facing an FCS team. It's really bad. But I think Michigan, J.J. McCarthy just offers so much. They have week 4, a home game versus Maryland, and then they're at Iowa and that tough defense. It'll be interesting. I feel bad for Utah. So Utah finally has a season. People are picking them to make the playoff, and the first game is prime time in the swamp. It's hot. It's back and forth. Both teams have like 400 yards of offense. Utah, 2nd and goal, 25 seconds left. The one thing you can't do is throw an interception. Even if you throw an incompletion, it's 3rd and goal. You have 2 more chances. You score a touchdown, you win the game. The one thing you cannot do, Utah does it, and they somehow lose. It was a game. It was back and forth. Whoever had the ball last was going to win, right? Didn't end up working out like that. I feel very bad for Utah. Traveling across country, they finally have a season. They're putting it all together. They've got a veteran quarterback, and they get this week 1 game. They play well. A very evenly matched game. It looks like they're going to win it at the end, and that's what happened. So unfortunate. I don't think Utah's going to drop a ton, but obviously, guys, there are going to be major issues for Utah because they lost to an SEC team. The question is going to be, even if they win out, will they make the playoff? Because the issue is it's a domino effect. Because now if Utah wins out, you still have to think, well, Florida beat them, so the SEC, if Utah is beating everyone in the Pac-12 and Florida beat Utah, and now Florida's losing to teams in the SEC, that just means the SEC is way better. It's this horrible domino effect that games like this create when you lose to an SEC team. I would not wish it on anyone. Utah's going to have to deal with that even if they win out. There's going to be people saying the SEC should have 2 teams because Utah lost to an SEC team. It's so sad and so unfortunate. How about Syracuse destroying Louisville? One of the most shocking overall results. If you guys don't know, Louisville goes into the Carrier Dome. They were 4-point favorites. Everyone was betting on Louisville. Malik Cunningham returning in a dome, major offense. People were saying 40-plus points for Louisville, and they get crushed. And Malik Cunningham, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If you are Louisville, oh my, it's good for Louisville. They're recruiting better, but that is a horrible, horrible week 1 result. Shockingly bad. Shockingly bad. I know they were only 4-point favorites, but everyone was like, oh my God, Louisville's going to win this game. And they get annihilated. I think they scored 7 points. They lost 31-7. That was a shocker. Iowa can't win 9 games. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Iowa's offense is just so bad. And I know this is how they win. They've got 2 great linebackers. They've got a phenomenal corner in Riley Moss. But Iowa's offense is so bad. Their quarterback is horrific. They really don't have anything. And it was funny, yesterday the line came out that Iowa was 10.5-point favorites, and I tweeted out, how is that possible? You know, it's so crazy that they were only 10.5-point favorites. Turns out South Dakota State's a great FCS school, and what a game. 7-3, but they got the 7 points with 2 safeties and a field goal. So it's just the offense is so bad, I can't see it with Iowa. And Iowa has 2 really bad crossover games. They get Michigan and they get Ohio State on the road. So I don't think they're winning 9 games. I think the West is going to be Minnesota or Wisconsin, in my opinion. Drake May, Heisman favorite. So maybe he is. Drake May, the hero of week 0 against Florida A&M. And then week 1, what an unbelievable game against Appalachian State. 300 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He looks like the Heisman favorite. I'm kind of kidding, but I think he has the best stats out of any quarterback due to playing that week 0 game. And then we've got some more. Cincinnati versus Arkansas was about predictable as possible. So yeah, guys, the spread on this game was 6 points, 7 points all week. And throughout the entire game, it went basically exactly how everyone thought it was going to go. Arkansas was up a touchdown virtually the entire game. Arkansas would score, Cincinnati would score, but Arkansas was always in control. Cincinnati just needed a little bit better QB, and I think they could have won this game easily. It's unfortunate, but this game was very predictable in my opinion. Number 10, Arizona football is back. What a performance they had. The transfer quarterback from Washington State. Wow. Arizona went through a stretch where they lost like 15 straight games. They come out week 1 at San Diego State and crush them. Huge win there. Nebraska football is okay. Nebraska beats North Dakota. And that was a close game. They almost lost, but they were able to pull it out and win. Texas football is back. So Texas, Quinn Ewers, I think, threw an interception on his first drive. They ended up winning easily against, I believe, UL Monroe. UConn football is back. So UConn, they beat like Central Connecticut State. What a rivalry that is. And then we've got Florida winning is going to make our lives suck. And I referenced this earlier. It is the unfortunate domino effect of the SEC. So the issue is if Utah suddenly wins a bunch of games, Florida's going to be jolted up because Florida beat Utah. And it's just going to be this horrible domino effect for college football that ends up overvaluing the SEC so drastically because of this single result of Florida beating Utah at home. It was so important that Utah won that game. It looked like they were going to, and now things are going to get really ugly. You're going to have people in the SEC saying they should get 2 or 3 teams in. So it is what it is. There's really nothing we can do about it, but that's just what's going to happen. Stop with the sham 2-point gimmick rule. So, guys, I had Houston -4, and, they were in overtime, and the 2-point rule completely screws me. I will say Houston, I'm a little disappointed with how they played yesterday. They ended up winning against UTSA, but I thought they were really going to blow out UTSA. They end up winning because of the sham 2-point rule. They go to the third overtime, 2-point sudden death, which is horrible. Could you imagine like Ohio State and Michigan getting decided by 2 points? Come on, guys. We got to stop with this. That's so stupid. It is not good. There's very rarely, they literally instilled this rule because of a one-off crazy situation with that LSU Texas A&M game that went to like 9 overtimes. That happened one time in 20 years or whatever. So they instill a rule to prevent something that happened one time in 20 years. The overtimes end, normally double overtime, triple overtime at the worst. This is so dumb. It reminds me of the MLB putting a runner at second base when statistically 90% of the games ended before they even went to the 12th inning, even without the runner. So they put in rules to try and jazz up the game, and it's just a gimmick, and it's disgusting. And then 16, UCLA had a record low attendance, and guys, I think it's only going to get worse for UCLA. Week 1 against Bowling Green, but I think they have like South Alabama this week. They've got the worst non-conference schedule of any Power 5 team. If they're drawing the worst attendance opening weekend, it's only going to get even worse week 2 and week 3. So UCLA, I believe they did cover the spread against Bowling Green. They won 45-17, so they were like 23-point favorites. But yeah, just horrible attendance there at the Rose Bowl. It is unfortunate, but those are my week 1 hot takes, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.